Hi, my name is Ryan Spears, and today I'm going to be talking to you about LEGO superheroes. First, I'll be talking about the platform we've decided to develop this video game for, and the rationale behind doing so. Next, I'll be talking about the tools and resources that we will need in order to develop this game. So, the platform most common in the average household is the PC, and that is the main reason behind developing this game for the PC. But also, the PC is used and understood by children of all ages these days, so our player base will be as large as possible. Developing for the PC opens up the possibility of porting our game to other systems if it's successful after its release. Also, the capabilities of PCs far exceed those of big box game units like the Xbox or the PlayStation or the Wii. By choosing the PC as our platform, we have not limited ourselves to the specs of any given system. We have developed this game to work on a cross-section of available PC configurations. So for instance, most affordable PCs have onboard sound and onboard video controllers. So our game will have to have a minimal graphics setting and audio setting to increase performance on those devices. But at the same time, the sky will be the limit as far as graphical quality is within our game. The game will be capable of resolutions up to 2400 by 1600. It'll have things like dynamic shading and 4x anti-aliasing, as well as every other modern graphical option available these days. So if our players can't afford a high-end system, they'll be okay. Our game will work fine on a low-end system, but at the same time, it'll work great on a high-end system. They will have the best graphics possible. Next, I'm going to talk to you about some of the tools and resources that we're going to be using. There really are several routes that we can take when developing this game. We could develop the game from the ground up, or we could develop the game with a partner, or we could use existing technology that is licensed from another company, or we could even hire out all of the programming to another studio. That is actually a common practice these days. A lot of studios with large franchises simply hire out the sequels or other games to other companies and just collect a royalty based off of that. The most profitable and easiest of these options would be to license the development software from another company. This option will allow for the fastest completion of the development, but it will also maximize our profits much more than hiring another company to do the grunt work. At this stage in the gaming industry, there are countless options available when it comes to choosing a company to provide this development software. But in our minds, one stood out more than the other. We've decided to go with a company called Crytek, and we're going to be using their CryEngine software to develop this game and render all of the graphics within. Next, we're going to be using the Microsoft Visual Studio environment to do all of the coding or programming within the game. That software is an integrated design environment that supports C++ and C# and Java and Visual Basic and a lot of other languages, but for the purposes of this game we'll be using C#. We'll also be using that in tandem with a software application called Maya for all of the models and maps that will be within the game. And the audio portion of the game will be using a software program called Pro Tools from a company, Avid Euphonics. The overall development of the game should take about 4 to 6 months, and it's going to require a staff of about 80 people. We're thinking 20 programmers, 20 map and model artists, 20 talent and quality assurance and testing personnel. Then we're going to have 5 writing and design staff and 5 management. The programmers will be doing all of the hard coding within Visual Studio. The map and model makers will be using Maya to develop all of the 3D models, the environments, all of the characters and graphics and textures you see within the video game itself. The testing and quality assurance will be working with the programmers and the model makers, and they'll be testing each release of the game that we come out with, looking for bugs and ways that we can improve upon it. Then we're going to have our 5 writing and design staff. They'll be in charge of the narrative of the video game, the dialogue, and all of the quests and the progression of the video game itself. And then we'll have 5 management personnel that are going to manage each one of those areas, as well as 1 to manage the entire staff. We're thinking after the initial release of the game, we're going to split all of that staff in 2. One half is going to be working on maintaining the game environment. That'll be making sure that everything within the game is running smoothly, fixing problems as they arise. The other half is going to be working on future releases and updates to the game. That could mean they could be updating quests, they could be coming out with new characters or new mounts or special abilities, things like that. And it could also mean that they might be working on a sequel in the future, provided that we are successful. We're projecting the total cost of this game to come in around $5 million, which actually we're thinking is more than enough money, but is still cheap to develop a video game. Most of this money will be spent on acquiring the licenses and talent necessary to develop the game. We plan to raise most of the $5 million via Kickstarter, in which we'll offer special perks and abilities and skins and costumes and things like that to our players. But for the people who donate the most, they'll get early access to the beta, and for the people who donate more than that, they'll get the collector's edition. Once we reach 1/5 of our goal limit, we'll begin development, provided that it happens within a reasonable amount of time. So we're thinking within 2 months, if we hit that goal, we'll really ramp up the majority of the development. The plan is to use the first inflow of cash to develop a beta, which will then be used to raise more funds from sources outside of Kickstarter, such as other studios or venture capital firms. We believe that our plan is not only entirely possible, but it's easily achievable within the time frame that we have set. It's just that the future of our plan rests on the feedback that we get from the Kickstarter campaign and the beta release. Hopefully things will go exactly to plan, and we'll have a full game for children and adults across the world to enjoy within the next 6 months. Thank you so much for listening. I hope that you're just as excited about this LEGO game as we are here, and thank you.